I'm Batman, and you're listening to the podcast, not that you deserve, but the one that you needed.
You are among the blessed. You have been chosen by God to compete for righteous glory. 8 other champions will enter, but there can only be one MoY. And now introducing your host, Jake the Gluten-Free Careless.
What's up, my homies, and welcome into the MoY PLOY. Smells like a fresh season, right out the oven and ready for us to enjoy. Coming up on this Tuesday, you and I, we got a showdown with Destiny at the draft board. Now, I'm going to go over a couple of the changes that are going to be super important for you guys to understand in order for you to even have a chance of succeeding against myself. Let's go ahead and take a look at those. My computer's been screwing up all night long, so I'm hoping it can just pull through for this one final take here. Alright. Important for you to understand is the roster breakdown. We have a new and deeper roster than we've ever had before. We've got 2 quarterbacks. That's the same as usual. We have 3 starting running backs now. If you have a 12-team league, each team has 2 starting running backs. That's 2 running backs, 12 teams, 24 total running backs. We have an 8-team league with 3 running backs. That is 3 times 8, 24 total. Same total number of running backs. Now we have 4 wide receivers and 2 flex positions. If you have a 12-team league and you have 3 wide receivers and 1 flex position, that's 48 total players on a 12-team roster. 3 and 1 times 4, or that's 4 times 12. Then we have basically 6, being the 4 wide receivers and 2 flexes, times our 8 teams is also 48. So we kind of are creating simulating a 12-team league a little bit with our depth of roster. This is also we're also not doing kickers. And there's been a slight change in scoring, which I will get to as well. Our bench is going to be a little bit less deep. I believe it's 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 players deep, and you have an IR as per usual. Now, what this is interestingly going to do is, because our rosters are a bit deeper than they usually are, the scores are going to be higher, and they're also going to be a little bit less severely impacted by individual player performances. And it's going to be more dependent on team performances. Now, obviously, when a player pops off for 35-40, that's going to be a week-winning type of performance. However, I think we're going to need to see a complete draft and a complete team, and I think this is really going to help the MoYs shine above the WOYs this year. I also thought it would be fun to just do something a little bit different, shake it up like I like to do. Now, let's talk about the scoring. There's going to be more points scored than ever before. This is Point-a-Palooza. Let's go ahead and take a look at the league settings. For the first time ever in MoY PLOY history, we are a 6-point per passing touchdown league. If your quarterback throws a touchdown, they used to get 4 points. Now they're getting 50% more than that. They're getting 6 points. That is a massive increase. So guys like Patrick Mahomes throws a lot of touchdowns, doesn't throw a ton of picks. Whereas you used to be able to kind of grab somebody late who is a rushing quarterback and just kind of keep up with anyone who drafted Patrick Mahomes in the first round, because rushing touchdowns were worth more and the rushing yards were worth more. Rushing yards are still worth more than passing yards, but the touchdowns are now equivalent. Still a PPR league that is point per reception. The only other tweak that I made is I made defenses a little bit less punishing to start. This used to be like a -7 if your team gave up 550 total yards. I think this was like a -6. So I just kind of toned those down. Everything else has remained the same. No real need to check in on any of that. But your defenses are going to, a bad defense is going to punish you slightly less if you end up starting it. Or if your defense has a bad week, you're going to get punished slightly less. Now, before we move forwards, I wanted to go ahead and take a look back at some of the MoYs and seasons past. I believe we have given out a few MoY awards in our time here. I believe the first reigning MoY was Todd Harris. And I think, let me see, I can't remember how many years we've been doing this. Basically since Brent joined. Did Brent join? I think Brent joined in 2019. And so I believe this year was Todd Harris won the MoY. 2020. I can't remember who won in 2020. That's bad. I think that may have been Ray's year. I think that was the year that Ray won MoY. And then 2021, Peter ended up winning MoY. So we have 3 years, 3 MoYs, and the league goes back beyond that. But the MoY award, what we truly care about, is 3 years. So, in honor of our MoYs, I just want to give you all a shout out. Todd, the OG MoY, Ray, 2020 MoY, and Peter, the 2021 MoY. All of our MoYs are still with us. However, let us honor also the fallen. Rest in peace, Mandalorian. Rest in peace, Clyde Edwards Despair. And rest in peace, Deus Belli. Guys, it was a pleasure playing with you. If for some reason you're watching, if you're going to be watching the show, why wouldn't you just take the time to also be in the league? That said, we want to welcome in some young blood into the league. We have got a great cast of characters joining us for this year's MoY Award. We have got, let's take a, it's frozen on me again. Oh well. We've got Eddie Disler joining us. We have Brett, the Fantasy Hitman Hart. And we have, I believe it is Zach, the Menage a Trois. I don't actually know Zach's last name. Zach, the Menage a Trois Todd's neighbor. We'll call you Zach Todd's neighbor. That'll be your last name. All right. And since my computer is frozen again, there's not much I can do. So let's go ahead and really quickly take a look at last year's draft, if it will let me. Like history, draft recap. All right. Last year, we'll take a look at the 2 top teams and their draft strategy that paid off for them. That was myself and Peter. My team here, Corrupt Commish, we had grabbed Kelsey in the first round. Didn't really super work out for us. Zeke in the second. Also kind of mediocre on that pick. Jonathan Taylor definitely carried the team. Antonio Gibson was kind of a bum through the first half of the season. Allen Robinson was definitely a bum. Amari Cooper was kind of bummish. Tyler Lockett lost his quarterback. Trey Lance didn't start a game. Justin Fields ended up trading him. The only reason I picked him was because Brent accidentally picked someone else instead of Justin Fields. I eventually, he picked my guy, I picked his guy. We just did a mid-draft trade. Juju didn't do shit. Kenny Galladay didn't do shit. Darrell Henderson was a great pickup for me. Will Fuller didn't do shit. Like Michael Pittman. So basically my team really was just buoyed by Michael Pittman, Jonathan Taylor, and Darrell Henderson. Everything else kind of was a whiff or like drafted too early, like Kelsey and Zeke. So I played the waiver wire and I made deals. I made trades and just kind of worked my way up while riding Jonathan Taylor's coattails. Peter, on the other hand, Saquon Barkley, round 1 whiff. Austin Eckler, round 2 mega hit. Najee Harris, right here. Najee was another massive hit. Justin Jefferson, another massive hit. Tom Brady, another massive hit. Matthew Stafford, another massive hit. Cooper Kupp, massive hit. DJ Moore, great start, shitty finish. J.K. Dobbins, oops, ACL. Robbie Anderson didn't do shit. Matt Ryan didn't do shit. Jamar Chase, massive hit. OBJ, massive whiff. Noah Fant, whiff. And just kind of a bunch of whiffs after that. So basically, one strategy, myself, was to have a couple foundational pieces and then just wheel and deal and make trades and use the waiver wire to get guys to add to your team. And the other one was to just hit on almost all of your draft picks. Now, Peter's team was absolutely dominant last year. I think this coming year, it's going to be a bit more difficult to win the way that I won last year, because there aren't going to be premier guys sitting on the waiver wire because our rosters are a couple rounds deeper this time around. So basically, we're going to have like 48 guys not available on rosters or on waivers that were available last year on waivers. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see how that kind of plays out and how this the kind of how the importance of the draft is going to affect our league a little bit. That's not to say you can't get premier talent off of waivers, but I think it won't be quite as rich as it has been in years past. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at some of the other drafts of the guys who are coming back this year. I've got Todd Harris, Jake, I am your father. CMC, Kyler Murray, Kittle, Mixon, McLaurin, Evans, Godwin, Hunt, Tua Tags, Mike Davis, Brandon Cooks, yada, yada, yada. So he actually had a pretty solid draft, which was emphasized, like exclamation points, with Mike Williams here in the last round. Hard to believe that man was a last round pick 1 year ago. Marquise Brown, second to last round. Incredible pickup there. Brandon Cooks was solid. Chris Godwin was good. Mike Evans was good. Terry McLaurin was not great, especially at that draft cost. Joe Mixon was amazing. George Kittle was good when he was healthy. Kyler Murray was great. CMC didn't do shit. But definitely the rest of his roster was able to compete, and I believe he made the playoffs last year. Or he missed by like one, but I'm pretty sure he made playoffs. Brent. Take a look at Brent's team last year. Brent ended up going wide receiver, running back, quarterback, and then Lamar Jackson fell to the third round. It's kind of wild. DK Metcalf, James Robinson, really sucks what happened to him last year, tearing his Achilles. Justin Herbert, Julio Jones, that one didn't work out either. Jalen Hurts would have worked out great instead of Justin Fields. And then we've got like Michael Thomas, Damian Harris, Devonta Smith, TJ Hawkins. Like, these guys all had solid years. Sony Michel didn't do anything. So yeah, A.J. Dillon in the 19th round. Great draft pick there again by Brent. You will not get A.J. Dillon in the 19th round this year. Ray, let's take a look at your team. You've got Alvin Kamara, Nick Chubb, Stephon Diggs, Keenan Allen, Dak Prescott, Robert Woods, Deontay Johnson, T. Higgins, Kyle Pitts, Javonte Williams, Joe Burrow, Jalen Waddle, Antonio Brown, Debo. You actually had a pretty stacked team last year, Ray. I know you eventually you traded Debo away, which ended up being a massive mistake for you. But you had a pretty solid squad here. The big thing that probably hurt you is just kind of a lack of ceiling on some of your players. Like Nick Chubb didn't have a super high ceiling. Keenan Allen didn't have a high ceiling. Robert Woods didn't have a high ceiling. Deontay Johnson didn't have a high... Actually, Deontay Johnson did pretty well last year. Jalen Waddle didn't have a massive ceiling on a week-to-week basis. Now, I will say that strategy of high floor players with a super, super deep roster, that's going to be a slightly more viable. You're not going to have, because not every single roster is going to be super, super stacked top to bottom, every single starting spot with elite fantasy producers. Because their rosters are a bit deeper this year, these high floor picks are going to have a little bit more value. Now, I'll tell you about one last thing before I end the stream. No, I think I'm just going to have to end the stream. The computer is not going to let me do it. All right, well, I'm going to call it there, and I'm going to see if I can get this thing to stop. Hopefully, I'm able to get this stream to stop, and it's not just me talking forever. Can it stop? Can it be stopped? Can I open the task manager? Nope, can't do that. Well. Oh, well. Okay, had to get onto my phone to end the stream here.